Rolex, the famous watchmaker, did something that shook up the luxury watch industry. We are going to talk about what happened after Rolex bought Bucherer, a fancy watch store. We'll find out why this buyout was such a big deal, see how it changed the watch world, and learn about the cool things that came out of it. You'll want to stay with us till the end because we'll uncover the exciting twists and turns in the Rolex Bucherer story and how it not only affected the Rolex prices but also affected the people who love watches. Rolex is widely known as the brand that strongly supports the Swiss watch industry. Recently, they made a big move by acquiring the luxury retailer Bucherer to make their position in the luxury market even stronger. This news has caused excitement in the luxury watch industry, and everyone is talking about it. Imagine the world's largest watchmaker buying one of the world's largest watch sellers. That's a big deal. But what does it all mean? When two companies come together through a purchase or a merger, the timing has to be just right for it to work well. In the case of the Bucherer deal, the timing was perfect. It's not hard to understand why Rolex was careful about letting their top seller, which makes up about 8% of their sales, be bought by a rival company. To grasp how significant Rolex is, consider this. Rolex accounts for more than 28% of all the Swiss watch industry's exports in terms of value. In comparison, the second largest player, Omega, has a much smaller market share at just 7.5%. This emphasizes how massive Rolex's presence is in the industry. So, why did Rolex decide to acquire Bucherer, a luxury retailer? First, let's understand what Bucherer is and why it's important for Rolex. Bucherer is mainly in the business of selling watches and jewelry. They have about 100 stores in the United States and Europe. Among these stores, 53 sell Rolex products and 48 offer both Rolex and Tudor watches. What's significant is that Rolex and Bucherer have been doing business together for more than 90 years. Now, let's talk about some changes that have happened in the watch industry over the last few decades. Back in the 1990s, there was a shift in how things worked. Instead of relying on distributors and retailers, watch brands started taking control of their own distribution and created global subsidiaries. This shift helped them make more money, expand worldwide, and keep a closer eye on their products in different markets. The next step in this evolution was when some brands started opening their own stores. In the early 2000s, they began to have their own shops where they could directly connect with customers. In 2019, Rolex said they weren't planning to open their own retail stores. Instead, their main focus was on making their authorized dealer network better. It's important to note that Rolex recently ended partnerships with 50 authorized dealers because these dealers didn't provide good customer experiences. The challenge Rolex faced was that these authorized dealers were independent businesses, not owned by Rolex. They bought Rolex watches and then sold them. The main difference between an authorized dealer and a gray market dealer when it comes to Rolex is mostly about the prices they offer. Rolex is very picky about who they authorize to sell their watches. They have ultimate control over how their watches are displayed and stored by their authorized dealers. But there are limits to this control, and the most extreme step Rolex can take is to stop a dealer from selling their watches. It's not easy to get to that point. People often criticize Rolex dealers for certain practices, like not keeping waiting lists or using them to rush customers out of the store. Sometimes, they might act dismissive when customers want to buy a watch directly from the display. It's ironic because buying a Rolex can be frustrating even though it's a high-priced item. Here's the interesting part. The Rolex waiting list isn't a strict chronological list. It's more like a roster where your position isn't based on when you join, but on how much you've spent at the authorized dealer in the past year. What's fascinating is that most of these VIP clients who keep buying luxury items are smart dealers themselves. They start by investing in less popular items, with the plan to eventually get the highly desirable ones. This way, they can make a profit by reselling the items they initially bought. For example, if they spend $10,000 on a watch, they might not get all of that back when they sell it, maybe only $6,000. However, they can make a profit of $4,000 when they finally get that highly sought-after Submariner or a similar watch. This strategy helps them make money by flipping watches and keeping their status, which increases their chances of getting the watches they want through waiting lists. Buying a Rolex, which is often seen as the ultimate luxury, ironically doesn't always give you a luxurious buying experience. So, Rolex's decision to acquire an established retail network is a smart move. It allows them to have full control over how customers experience their brand. When you have the financial power of Rolex, you can make very clever investments that most others can't. For other stores that sell Rolex, they say that business will go on as usual, with Rolex supporting and working with their authorized dealers. But if Rolex were to follow the strategy of other watch brands like IWC, Vacheron, and Seiko, they might give more importance to their own brand boutiques. The most in-demand, desirable, and hyped watches might become exclusive to Bucherer. Stores like Watches of Switzerland could become known for offering Rolex's Datejusts and Oyster Perpetuals, while the sports watches might mainly be available at Bucherer. Rolex plans to be more proactive in dealing with the gray market by having better control over the used market through its CPO program. They'll also closely manage how their watches are distributed to different markets and stores in the primary market. This strategic move strengthens Rolex's position in the market and addresses some common criticisms they've faced, such as supply issues, customer service, and their watches being sold in the gray market. Rolex can now fix these problems while also staying financially stable in a changing market. Rolex doesn't need to aggressively advertise their watches anymore because they're taking big steps to improve how they distribute their brand. This not only means more profits, but also enhances their brand's reputation by better managing their sales and where their watches are sold. Rolex makes money not just when people buy their watches, but also when they buy watches from other brands. This is a significant and smart business decision. Thanks for watching until the end. If you want more updates regarding the recent news in the world of timepieces, be sure that you are subscribed to Luxury Focus. You can also share your thoughts about this video in the comment section below. That's all for now. See you at the next one.